Yo, what's going on, everybody? Here with a brand new video for you guys today. Welcome to the channel. I'm gonna do an Evo video for you guys today. No gameplay today. I'm not a movie gameplay, but I do want to talk about the Evo that came out today for Sneak Attack. Mostly just gonna talk about Barcelona players as well as some women players and other players who got my attention. Give like a little breakdown on what I think and who I am going to choose. So we're gonna get right into it. Not gonna freaking do much yapping when it comes to like the intro. Let's get right into it. With Alexia Putellas putting her Player of the Month into this car. If you like me, you have this car and you've been like waiting for for her to go into. Frankly, I don't think this is the one to put her into because she doesn't really get much out of it. For one, this Evo does give a dribbling boost, if I'm not mistaken, and she doesn't get a boost at all when it comes to dribbling. There's a way to pull that up and see what we do get here. So it gives a pace boost, a shooting boost, a physical boost, and a dribbling boost. Alexia only gets a pace, shooting, physical, and passing boost. And the pace boost isn't really big enough at all, and neither is a physical, to be honest with you. So from a card like this, you're basically you're giving her a +3 to her passing and a +1 to her shooting, and that's pretty much it. And as I always say, a +1's not a big deal, but +2 is. So you know, if that was going to let's say if she had like 89 pace with a 92 or 93 shooting from this Evo, then I would say it's probably a must do for her. Especially if we can get that physical to like an 86 at least. So that's when it's like a big boost. Because at the same time, you're looking at the rating itself. When you give a card a 94, what you're basically telling the EA is that I'm not going to be able to evolve this card into maybe like the promo, whatever short promo they had before footies, or exactly footies. Will be the next time you get to evolve this card. So using a card, you know, with these stats, you know, in May, think about like the average May card. Let's put an average May card. You know, we'll be fair and go to like the women's leagues because, you know, she's in the women's league. So the average May card is basically these cards right here. You know, when it comes to like the women's players, we can go men's player if you want to as well. So we'll pull the prem tots, but like she's a 94. So let's compare her to other 94s. So in the midfield at 94, you probably have someone like Toon 93. You know, Grace Clinton at 92. Russo can play midfield, but trying to like keep it at like, you know, at least a 93 to 94 range. So if you look at Grace Clinton, the 92 92, you know, the 88 92 compare that to Alexia, that Clinton card looks way better than this card. You're spending 50k to make this card look worse than this card at 20k. And yes, Alexia Putellas, but still better play styles, better stats. Can play the same role, and that Evo gets box plus. Grace has box plus already. So compared to Toon has better dribbling, Alexia has better passing, the same shooting, Toon has better pace. So it's like you're spending 50k to make a card worse than, you know, fodder tots cards when it comes to Alexia. You know, even when it comes to the men's side of things, you know, you're comparing her to like a Bruno Fernandes, who has 3 more pace than her at the exact same rating, you know, who has 2 more shooting, the exact same passing, and the exact same dribbling, and 1 more physical and better defense, able to play box, and she can play box to box, but he's better, you know, static wise to be someone you can rely on defensively. He's 40k. Even from a place down standpoint, yeah, you're giving her incisive, but you're also giving her Trivella. You don't need Trivella to shoot a Trivella. You don't need Trivella to do a passing Trivella for the most part. So it's kind of a dead playstyle plus to give her. You could say, you know, put something on her beforehand, like maybe like the finesse shot from the season ladder. But again, you're not really doing too much for the card itself. Like, yeah, you're giving her, you know, 3 good playstyles at that point with the tiki-taka, the incisive, and the finesse shot. But you're still having a card whose stats isn't really keeping up with the current meta. Not meta, but like the current, you know, power curve. So, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say this is a 6 because you do, you know, make Alexia somewhat playable. You do give her a very, very good passing play style. You do, you know, increase that passing and increase that shooting a bit. The passing gets the biggest boost out of it all. But because that lack of pace, you're not really getting much else out of it. You're basically spending 50k for a worse card than some fodder cards. I most want to cover some cards that I see other people talking about. And Nate for the kind of chats also mentioned Lindsay Heaps. So we're gonna go over Lindsay Heaps' card. If you're doing a chain Evo on her, this could be a better choice. But if you're just going straight from that SVC card into this Evo, kind of like with Tej, you're not really improving much. You know, the pace is still going to be bad. The shooting is, you know, tolerable at 91. 91 is still good shooting, and that is a big boost to go from 87 to 91. That's great. Thing is a passing, going from 89 to 94. That's great. So you're getting big boosts here, but at the exact same time, she's only going to be 92. So should be evolvable way sooner than Buteas will be, and that evolvable might make her a 4 playstyle plus card that has even more pace. So she'd be evolvable sooner than Buteas will be. So this is, in my opinion, a better choice, but it's still not a great choice because you're still basically working with someone who is worse than fodder tots cards. Especially when it comes to that lack of pace and the lack of dribbling, you're gonna have to give this card, you know, an engine more than likely, just to, you know, to try to like get something out of it. It looks like a better card in my opinion, who's will be evolvable sooner. But I would also say in general, this would be a better card for chain evo than it would be for just going straight into like that. So like, let's say you've been doing a chain for this card. So let's go Otis first. Let's say we're working with a chain. And you gave her, let's see something that looks like it'd be reasonable for Lindsay Haran. So let's say you gave her Curl It In, which gave her a boost to, you know, her stats in general, because it gets her like a plus freaking 5 when it comes to her pace. It also gets her plus her shooting, her dribbling, and her defending, and gets her dead ball. So let's say you go there, and then you go with that new Evo. Now you're putting her at a 94, and as a 94, she still looks better to Buteas. You know, and you don't have to worry about getting Trivella because you get the incisive to go along with that ping pass and the dead ball. So again, it just looks like a better card. But at the exact same time, you're not increasing that defense, so therefore it's kind of low. The dribbling also isn't really increasing, so you're getting that would have been like a plus, going from like 88 to 92, you want to 94, and at the 94 you only have one face stat that's above a 92, and that's the passing itself. So, you know, it's better to Buteas, in my opinion, when it comes to making sense for Evo to do, but still, I wouldn't say it's a great option. Moving on, you have Frankie de Jong, another person who I've seen pop up in people's Twitch chats as like a choice for, you know, we can do a comparison between this card and his Road to the Final card, which, you know, the Road to the Final has 3 less passing, 3 less shooting, 2 less passing, but has 1 more defending and 1 more, you know, dribbling. So this, if you didn't do that card, is a bit better of an option as a CDM, but I also say there's also a DM Evo coming out pretty soon, so maybe like wait and see how this card looks in that DM Evo compared to this card before you make a choice. For the most part though, at face value, when it comes to this card, this is a good boost because he does get that plus, like I said, +1, don't blink, don't pay any attention. A +2, now I got your attention. So he goes from 88 to a 90 when it comes to his pace. It's a +10 to his shooting. He goes from 89 to 94 passing. He has a +1 to the dribbling, so that's kind of irrelevant. But the other stats do look very, very good for, especially for the position at being, you know, a center mid and a DM who you can play as box to box. He can even get you box to box. As a box to box, this card looks pretty nice, especially when it comes to the play styles. He has everything you would want for him to have as a box to box. This is a very, very good Evo when it comes to like Frankie de Jong. But again, I would say wait and see what the DM Evo can give him and can compare it in that way. You throw an anchor on him if you want. Gets him almost all 90 face stats, which again, you want to see that too. You want to see who's getting them, how can you max out getting 90s on your face stat and inside, you know, the individual stats as well. Only thing that will mean the 90s is his shooting. And as a box to box or DM, you never worry about that. Another one I saw was this combination of Pedri into Regista and Sneak Attack. I'm pretty sure Regista is going to like expire tomorrow. But in general, Pedri, again, +1s, you don't really care about. +2s, pay attention. +3s, then talking about language. This gets Pedri to a 90 when it comes to his pace, instead of 87. His shooting is a +10. He's a +10 to his passing, and nothing else really changed other than a +1 to his physical. So again, what are you gaining? That's what you need to look like when it comes to Evos. What is your player gaining, and how big is that gain to where it's warranted to go through with that process of doing that evolution? Even when it comes to like the individual stats, where is your player suffering, and does that Evo help you in those categories? So Pedri, this looks good. Rolfo was one I was considering, and she does look good. She does get, you know, a +3 to her passing. But outside of that, it doesn't do too much, because again, what matters most is what are you gaining. So only +1 to her pace, only +1 to her dribbling. The shooting goes up by like 3, but again, you know, that's nice. But it's a boss player, and frankly, with this particular Evo, what I'm looking for Rofo right now, this card should say, is a defensive card. I want to put this card into something that gives her defending, you know, play styles. Either she got past play style, and she has a useless trickster unless you're someone who skills a lot. So you kind of want to get something on her if you're playing her at left back, or even playing her as like a box to box or holding midfielder. You want her to get some defending playstyle pluses. So you're thinking like, okay, I want to hold off until I can find something that gets her, you know, an intercept plus, you know, and a bruiser plus, or just bruiser plus by itself. While at the same time improving, you know, the stats that are down here, like giving her, you know, maybe like a +4 to her pace, not a +1 to her pace. Because you want her to be able to compete with the other cards that are existing right now. You know, you compare her to someone like McCabe. Cabe has 92 pace. Rofo will only have 90. Now, 2 isn't that big of a deal, but again, you're talking a 50K card compared to a 20K card. You know, Lucy Bronze, Rofo's former teammate, 95 pace. You know, she's almost 100K. Looks way better than Rofo in Evo. Even Maya Latetia, who you'll be using on right back if you want to, or center back, is someone who has a better looking card. So you kind of want to compare it to that. Like, is it even like worth doing? Like, that Rofo card is about on par at being better than this Baltimore card at 18K. You spend 50K to make this card essentially with worse playstyle pluses if you're trying to play her as a defender. Now, if your ghost player is a box player, a little different, because you know the stats do look decent for box to box, and getting her a second passive play style isn't all that bad for a box player. You're getting 2 of the best passive play styles in the game. It's cool. So in that aspect, it's a okay Evo for Rofo. But for me personally, I want a defensive Evo for Rofo, not one that makes her a box player. So then we have Puteus again, but this time for her rush card. The rush card, you know, you're not really getting, you know, crazy improvements. You're getting a +1 and a +3, a +5 and a +4. Kind of same thing when it comes to the previous card is, you know, you kind of want a bigger boost for a card that's going to be unevolvable for a very long time. The only plus here is that you don't get the Trivela. You have first touch, incisive, and tiki taka. So at that point, you're looking at, okay, I kind of want to, if you did this, for example, you're like, okay, I kind of want to just give her a shooting play style. So you give her like a low driven if there was an option for that, or you give her the finesse shot plus from the what you call it, the season ladder. And at that point, it does look like a good card face value wise, but against the stats and the rating, you want to be able to, if you have a 94, you want that 94 to have better stats than that. You know, it's not a great looking card for 94. That's just my opinion. And you got Bex, kind of in the same department as Alexia, where it's just like, you know, you see the 94 passing and you're just like, oh my god, it looks so cool, but it's like, he already has that. At base, he has 94 passing. So all you're improving is you're giving him a little bit of a boost to his shooting. You're giving him a +4 to his pace. And, you know, for the most part, that's kind of it. Yeah, you do improve his physical as well, but it's not a big enough improvement to like warrant it. You got to look at what your team needs, what the improvement is, and is it worth 50K? Or could you just go out to the market and get someone for 50K, you know, who looks just as good or better? You know, like here, again, it'd be more like Bruno, where you come down here, you're looking down here like at people who are, you know, in that same price range. You know, so it's like, it's just not a good enough like upgrade for these particular players. You know, the Puteuses and the Beckhams. Now, someone like Jill Ward, I would say, you know, can be, again, is in that same category as Puteus, whereas like you're not really improving enough. You know, like if you're a City fan, this isn't the card where it's like, okay, this is going to like make my City team even better. You know, because you're not getting too much out of it. You're like with Tayish, the upgrades just aren't that great. You know, like, yeah, the shooting goes up to 91. All these cards are going to look mostly the same. So you're looking for cards that actually have something that they gain, that makes them effective, right now, and you're okay with them being at a 94 rating, so you're okay with not being able to evolve them for a long time period of time. Then you got someone like this Oberdorf card. Can you finally get a playable Oberdorf card? Oberdorf didn't get a card during Bundesliga Tots because she's been injured. So it's like, okay, well, I'll try to make this playable, and it's still not enough. Like this will be a 94 rated card where the only 90 stats are the stats that are already 90 to begin with. That's not enough. Yes, you have better dribbling, better passing, better shooting, and better pace, but it's not enough. If you look at this card on the market, like even compared to like just a 90 rated card, there's so many cards that look way better than that. You're spending 50K to just give this card better dribbling, and that's pretty much it. Better passing, I guess, but you're not doing enough to make it warranted to do it. You're wasting Evo at that point. You can much rather put this Evo on somebody else you've been like doing a chain on, or someone who's like an Evo away from being cracked, than putting on someone like Oberdorf and it's like, all right, well, he didn't really do much. Because even with this Evo, she's in a state where she still needs another Evo. The other ones that I saw people were talking about was the free Jude and a free Bonmonti. I won't do Jude because I don't care about Jude. But the free Bonmonti and Jude into the Dab Legend, and then from there putting them into the new Evo. So in that sense, if you're someone who, let's say this card's expired, so if you had this card and put it into this card, which hopefully you did because it was at that time a good decision to do, you went from having an 84 rated card to having 84 pace, having 90 pace, 3 more pace than Puteas. The exact same shooting as Puteas, the exact same passing as Puteas, 1 less dribbling to Puteas, and damn near the exact same physical. So this is a better card than Puteas. That's just calling buck a buck, and she also has better defending. So this is a good choice. Same thing comes like the Jew. We can do the Jew too if you want to, but this is a good choice. Again, it puts her on par, with the Brunos and the Grace Clintons. Look at the price ranges. So you're getting there. You're on the same par as those, and it is, it's decent. Is it amazing? No, not at all. But it's still a good Evo when it comes to this particular card and this particular chain. Now, if you're not doing that chain, probably not. If you didn't put her into Dab Legend, and let's say you didn't put her into anything, you're just going straight from this card into this card, now it ain't worth it. Because now you have the Trivela Plus, yet you don't have enough pace. It's not enough. It's not enough. Going into who I'm putting through the Evo, I have a chain Evo on Lily Johannes. Why am I choosing to do Lily? The reason why I chose Lily is for a basic reason. If you understand like the Evo that I did, I don't really remember all the Evos that I did, so I can't show you like the full chains. I don't remember the Evos, but generally comes to the card. This was a card that didn't have a lot going on for when it came to its individual stats. It had a lot going on for its face stats and its play styles, but her composure is a 78. That's not very good. Before this part of the Evo, when the Evo first started, she had like 85 balance. Not very good. There's a lot of stats that were already improved, but she had low individual stats that she kind of wanted to have higher. But through this Evo, now she has 92 composure. That's big. Now she has 90 balance when she was in the 80s. That's big. So now when it comes to this card, the only flaws that it has is defensively. This is a card that only has 77 defensive awareness. So I do want that higher. But for the most part, with this Evo, I'm improving very, very important things for her. That balance. I'm also improving her composure, and still getting those boosts to her passing and her pace. Because this is someone who again didn't have a lot of pace, but going up to a 90 for this card helps. And even though, like I said before, it's not great to have that Trivela Plus, for someone like Lily, I predominantly use her as a playmaker more so than a scorer. Like if I'm using Puteas, I'm going to use her as a scoring midfielder. Whereas this card is more of a playmaker. So, Trivela can come in handy from that aspect of doing Trivela passes. And off the off chance that I decide to take a Trivela shot, it's still an option, even though you don't need the play style to do a Trivela. You can do it with people who have 40 shooting and no play style plus at all. So for me, Lily just made more sense because there's a chain Evo who I can make just more viable right now. But at the same time, like I said, she gets 90 face stats to almost everything. Like literally, the only thing that's not 90 face stat is her defending and her physical. And quite frankly, that defending will be higher had there's an Evo that improved her defense. But for the most part, though, for me personally, the key thing that I looked at with the Candace Evo made decide with Lily was that the improvements of her composure and improvements of her balance. So it means that she won't be falling over a lot. It means when she wins the ball, she won't lose the ball. Because that is the issue that you have with balance. This isn't like a women's player problem. This is an issue with just balance in general. If you have a player with low balance, they'll win the ball and then fall over. You know, and that's an issue. You don't want to play a game where your player wins the ball and it just falls over. That's a balance problem. You don't want to be in a situation where they win a header and they fall over. You want to be in a situation where they try to score and they fall over. You know, you want to make sure the balance is good. And composure, you all know that composure it can be pretty viable, more so in certain in like position like back to midfield on your defense and your striker. Your wings, you can kind of handle a little bit of low composure, but in your midfield, your forward, your striker, and your defense, you want the composure high. So getting her going from, you know, she was even lower. She's even lower than what it shows here. She was even lower than the 78. But going from a 78 to a 92 is a big improvement. So that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. It'll be Evil's I'm doing, but we're putting a Shadow Striker plus on Lindsay Haran, and we're doing Ella Stevens in Silver Evo. But I'll catch you guys on the next video. Be your boy, Archer. I'll see you guys. I'm out of here. Deuces.